it's actually one of the most polarizing topics in iRacing. What is it? Well, believe it or not, it's scrubbing your tires. Does it actually work? And if it does work, should you do it? And if it doesn't work, is there another method for heating up your tires when you were out there pacing before the race? We're going to take a look at scrubbing your tires, heating up your tires, the different methods that you can use, and whether or not any of them work. And I got to tell you, I was pretty shocked by what I found. What's up, everybody? Thomas Brandon here. Thank you very much, as always, for joining me. And like I said, we're going to take a look at heating up your tires, whether or not it works by, scrubbing them, dragging the brakes. There's been a bunch of different methods that I've heard, and we're going to take a look at a few of them, and we're going to look at it in a couple of different cars. We're going to take a look at the NASCAR truck, because the truck and the Xfinity both have the same tires on them for the most part. And then we're going to take a look at it in the next gen Cup car. Now, the reason why I picked those two is because in the NASCAR oval stuff, and also the short track oval stuff, but in the oval stuff in general, you are almost always guaranteed like a pace lap, where in some of the circuit racing stuff, you're not guaranteed any pacing, right? F1, you're from a standing start. Same thing with the 3.5s. Now, when you get to GT3 and stuff like that, you have a pace lap, but in the road stuff there wasn't anything guaranteed in terms of a pace lap. So I chose the oval stuff, and I figured, hey, if it works in the oval stuff, if you have a pace lap when it comes to the circuit stuff, then it should probably have a similar result, all right, whether or not it works. So let's head over and let's take a look at the results. All right, so first things first, what I did is I ran two controlled runs. I did this for the truck and for the Xfinity. We started on pit road for the truck. I did it at Kentucky. For the next gen car, I believe I said Xfinity before, but for the next gen car, I started on pit road as well. We pulled out onto the track. We maintained the same speed each time, which was between 65 and 70 miles per hour. Tried to keep it as close as possible. And then we did a control lap where basically we just went around to where we would go green and stopped. That was it. And when we stopped, we came to kind of a coast and just barely used the brake. I didn't want the brake to be skewing the numbers, because I've also heard that, hey, you don't want to scrub your tires, you want to drag the brake. That's what heats them up. So I wanted to make sure I didn't skew the numbers. And we look at the data in two ways. We're going to look at the carcass temperatures, which is what iRacing gives us in the garage. And then we're going to look at the surface temperatures, which is what we see in telemetry, whether it be Motec or Atlas or something else like that. Now, our starting temperatures, our starting standstill temperatures, are basically whatever the track temp is. So at Kentucky, it was 108 degrees. At Darlington, it was 105, and that's what the track temp was. So the surface temps in Motec, which is what I use for telemetry, were basically the track temp. Okay, that's what it was when we started. And then as we started going, we got to see the temperatures rise. Now, when we did our, what I call the zero run for the trucks, basically we saw a few degrees in terms of temperature rise. As you can see here, the trucks went from 108 at a standstill. When we look at the carcass, we see it get up to 116, 114, 112 on the left front, 115, 113, 112 on the right front. All right, and when we look at those temperatures, and then you can see here on the rears, we got 115, 114, the right rear 114, 113, 111. Now, obviously, camber, those types of things, even your springs can have a slight effect, but overall we're seeing just a couple of degrees difference when it comes to the carcass temperatures. Now, when we look at this compared to a simple scrub, which is basically staying kind of you're just in one lane and you're just going back and forth, all right, really easily, you're not being super aggressive. you can see here that the comparison, we have a couple of degrees of increase in terms of our carcass temperatures. So the 0 versus a simple scrub or basic scrub, you can see that instead of 116, 114, 112 on the left front, we have 118, 115, 111. So scrubbing the tires, we actually have on the inside of the left front tire a cooler temperature. Now that's going to have to do with the fact that we have much more camber. And so as we are steering the car, that camber is coming more into effect than when we are just driving straight. Okay, because of the extremes in terms of the wheel and stuff like that. All right, when we look at the right front, you can see that the 0 temp is 115, 113, 112, and then the right front with the basic scrub is 117, 114, 112. Okay, so once again, the insides of the tires, we got that camber, and you can see pretty much a 1 to 2 degree increase. And if we look at the rears, it's the same thing. We're looking at a 1 to 2 degree increase across the rear tires versus the 0 scrub. Now, when we look at this in terms of Motec, you can see here that the colored lines, that is the scrub, the basic scrub. The white lines is our control test. That's 0 scrub, us just cruising. And you can see here, as we go around the track, all right, you can see the difference with the throttle and the steering wheel, all right, to maintain that speed. And you'll notice here on the temperatures, we're seeing about a 1 degree change. Okay, and as we drag this along, all right, and we go all the way around the track, by the time we get to the end here, our surface temperatures represent close to what we saw on the carcass temperatures, about a 1 degree increase, maybe 2 degrees, right? 1 to 2 degrees across the fronts, and then 1 to 2 degrees across the rear. Now keep in mind, that's just a basic tire scrub. All right, on the trucks. What about the next gen car? Is it the same thing? Well, believe it or not, it's actually less in terms of temperature variation. When we look at the next gen car and we look at the tire temps versus a 0, which is no scrub at all, and a basic scrub, we can see here that the 0, we're seeing 110, 109, 109, 108, 108 across the front, 113, 112, 111 on the left rear, and then 109, 108, 108. On the basic scrub, we're seeing 112, 111, 110, and then on the right front, 109, 108, 108. We're seeing the exact same temperatures on the right sides as the no scrub, but we're seeing an increase on the left sides. And once again, that increase is about 1 to 2 degrees. So nothing insane, but about 1 to 2 degrees. Now, this was really interesting, and I was actually kind of shocked by this, because why would we see the temperatures on the left increase so much more than the right? And when we look at this in telemetry, you can see here that the white is the 0, the colored lines is the scrub, and you can see here that it's a little bit more on the surface temps, but once again, on the right sides, it's basically the same, okay? And in fact, when we look at the tire temps in the pits, and this was actually really, really interesting, compared to actually being out on the track, we see a decrease in temps. The next gen tire actually got colder on the track than it did in the pits. Now, I didn't understand this, and I still don't understand it. I don't really know what's going on with this, because the track wasn't really shaded. All right, when we pull out onto the track, this is the first turn. This is pulling right out of the pits onto the beginning of the track, and we're in the first turn. There's no shade there. The sun's beating right on the track. Now, when we get to the last part of the down the backstretch and then getting into 3 and 4, there was a little bit of shade, but not so much to where it should be this big of a difference going from the pits, right, where the right side tires are at 105, which was what the track temp was, and then we pull out onto the track, and just a few feet later, we're talking 100 feet later, we see it drop 7 degrees. So this was really, really interesting. And, like I said, I don't know if it's because the tires are wider. You can see here our cambers are not aggressive at all. So the tires are basically on the track at all times. So this was really interesting. But once again, this was just the basic scrub. What about dragging the brake? So dragging the brake is a method that I've heard quite a few people say in race sessions that it really works. In fact, it was during a race, a road race in the Ferrari, GT3 car. It was in that race where somebody was scrubbing their tires. They actually slammed into the car next to them under the pace lap, and the guy yelled, "What are you doing? That doesn't work. If you want to heat up your tires, you need to be dragging the brake." This is where I first heard that. Now, like I said before, I don't know if those GT3 cars or the F1 cars, I mean, we know that the Mercedes F1, it's actually got brake magic on there to keep the tires warm. So I imagine there's something to that. But, the NASCAR stuff, I don't know whether or not that would work. And when we ran the test, you can see that we actually saw a little bit more of an increase by dragging the brake than by doing a basic scrub. So before we saw a 1 to 2 degree increase in scrubbing the tires, pretty mild, but still scrubbing the tires. Here, dragging the brake, and we were dragging it about 25%, maybe between 25 and 30%, we see a 2 to 3 degree increase in terms of the tire temps, even up to 3 and 4 degrees when we look at the left rear tire, for example. So that on the truck, okay, and I imagine the Xfinity would be the same, dragging the brake actually increases the tire temps a little bit more than scrubbing the tires, all right, or doing I call it a basic scrub, right? It's not aggressive. You're maintaining in your lane at all times. When we look at this in telemetry, you can see here when we're dragging the brake, you can see on the surface temps, we're not seeing that big of a change. It's fairly consistent. Now, after a little while, okay, so basically after about a corner, we start to see the temperature separate, where now we're seeing about a 1 degree, 2 degree difference in terms of the temperatures. Obviously, we're seeing it more towards the inside of the tire with the brake dragging. Now, keep in mind, on the trucks, this was on the right sides. We were really seeing it on the inside. On the left sides, we weren't seeing that much because, keep in mind, we've also got that positive camber on those left sides. So the inside of the tire is actually a little bit going to be cocked the other way, so it's not hitting the ground. The outside of the tire is, but we've got the brake dragging, so it's heating it up, but it's not doing it as much as we saw with the scrub in certain parts. And keep in mind, it's certain parts, okay? But you'll see that it does heat it up on the surface, and obviously we know, we just looked at the pictures, that it's heating it up in terms of the carcass as well, okay? And for those of you who don't know the difference, a surface temperature here in telemetry would be like taking a heat gun, right, that reads temperatures and just pointing it at the surface of the tire. Where a carcass measurement is when we pull off the track and they actually take the thing and they stick it into the tire and they're getting that temperature like through the tire. Like that would be the difference. That's how you would look at that differently, okay? So this is what we've got on the trucks. What about the next gen car when it comes to dragging the brakes? Well, when we look at the carcass temperatures for dragging the brakes, we can see that the 0 temp versus the brake drag temp, that we're seeing similar results as to what we saw with the truck, which is a 2 to 3 degree difference. Once again, we've got 110, 109, 110 on the left front with no action, no scrub, no brake, and by dragging the brake, we've got 112, 112, 110. So once again, those tires that are making the point of tire that's making the contact and the brake drag, we're seeing that temperature change. When we look at the left rear, for example, you can see we go from 113, 112, 111 to 115, 113, 112. So once again, about a 2-degree difference in terms of the carcass temps. And then on the right sides, we are actually seeing an increase in temperature now on the tire, where before we weren't seeing anything on the right sides. Now, when we look at our surface temps here in telemetry with the brake drag on the next gen car, you can see here that as we're going around the track, you can see the next gen, we're about 43% brake, so we're a little bit more than the truck. And keep in mind, that's going to have a lot to do with the master cylinders that you're running on your next gen car, depending on your brake pressure. The truck, it's just one master cylinder, you can't change the pressure. But you can see here we're about 43%, and as we're going around the track, you'll notice here these top numbers, which is the brake drag. It is hotter in most spots by 1 to 2 degrees than we are with nothing. Especially when we look at these right sides, you can see here we're about 2 to 3 degrees warmer, specifically on the inside of the tire, which is once again where the tire's making contact, and then you've also got that brake heat. So dragging the brakes does increase the tire temps, and it actually increases the tire temps more than a basic scrub, which was really, really interesting. I was not expecting that. I figured it would be kind of close to the same. Now, here's the deal. What if you do what I call a super scrub, or like a much more aggressive scrubbing of the tires? What do those temperatures look like? So now, when we're doing a super scrub, and keep in mind, this is not just us, scrubbing the tires going side to side. What I was doing is I was turning the car, giving it some gas, turning the car quickly, giving it some gas, and it was much more hard on the tires. You could actually feel the suspension of the car moving a lot more. So I was much more aggressive with it. Now, keep in mind, I was still trying to maintain one lane. Like, I wasn't trying to take up the whole track. You don't want to be slamming into the car next to you. But I was definitely much more aggressive with the scrubbing of the tires. And at the same time, I was still maintaining that speed of 65 to 70 miles per hour. So if I had been going 90, it would have definitely skewed the numbers. Because when we look at it, it is a much bigger difference. When we look at the trucks, the zero scrub of the truck versus a super scrub, you can see that now we've got a much bigger difference. In fact, we're looking at pretty much a 4 to 6 degree increase in terms of temperatures. If we look at that left front, once again, you can see on the outside of the tire, 116 with nothing, 122 with the super scrub. When we go to the right front, 115 with nothing, 120 with the super scrub. All right. Left rear, 115 with nothing. With the super scrub, 127 on the outside of the tire. That's a huge difference. That's a 12-degree increase. And then when we look at the right rear, you can see even there, we're seeing a 5 to 7-degree temperature increase. So much, much bigger with the super scrub. Now, one thing to keep in mind, and this is very, very important, if you are too aggressive with your scrub, you will actually damage your tires. Now, I know in iRacing we don't have flat spotting and stuff like that, but you can actually take 1 to 2% off your tire wear just by scrubbing your tires too much. So this is something you definitely, if you're going to do, you want to practice. Don't just get out there and start doing it, whipping all the way, all over the track back and forth, okay? Because you could very easily damage your tires or run into somebody, all right? So you want to be careful when doing this. But as you can see, if you can do it more aggressively, you will see a 4 to 7 to sometimes 12-degree increase in temperature in terms of the carcass, which is really big. Now, how does it look in telemetry? Well, as you can see here, we're seeing a much bigger increase in terms of the temperatures. All right, especially on the inside of the right side tires and the outside of the left side tires, which is our negative camber and positive camber on the rights and the lefts. And you can see here that it's definitely increasing it much more. And notice as I'm turning the steering wheel, how I'm giving it throttle. All right. And that's really important. Okay. It seems to not just be a combination of going side to side. It seems to be a side to side with forward movement. All right. And when you're doing that, you can warm up the tires by quite a bit. You can see here on the surface, we're seeing a 6 degree. Here we have a 20 degree increase on surface temperatures. That's really, really huge when it comes to the truck. Keep in mind, think about all the times we see people go diving down into turn one and they spin out because they're on cold tires. This right here can actually help with that. You can heat up the tires to where now you have a little bit more grip. Now keep in mind, I did some other testing, and basically the only way to really get the tires up to like operating temps, which is 240, 250 degrees, you got to be racing. You got to be going fast and getting into the corner, stuff like that. You're not going to do that scrubbing. If you're trying to do that scrubbing, you're going to just destroy your tires. Okay, so you've got to still keep in mind that you're not going to be going into turn one with primed 100% ready to stick tires. Okay, they're still going to be cooler than when you're racing. But when you compare a super scrub, all right, and as you can see here, it's not like it's so much more aggressive. It's not like you're taking up the whole track and you're going to slam into the car next to you. You can still do it within your lane. When you compare that to nothing, it was a very big difference on the truck. Now, what about the next gen car? Well, with the next gen car, we see an increase, but it's not nearly as much as we see with the trucks. All right, where we're seeing a 4 to 5 degree increase on the left side tires, and then on the right sides, we're still only seeing about 1 to 2 degrees. Okay, it's not very much on the right side tires. Now, this makes me believe that your setup is going to have a lot to do with this. This setup that was in here, I had a I shouldn't say quite a bit, but I had like 54% cross weight. Now, yes, the left side springs were softer than the right side, but I did have more cross weight. I did have negative preloads in both the front and rear ARBs to help with the timing of those. So obviously it's going to be a little bit more predisposed on the lefts, and I don't know if that's why we're seeing the discrepancy in terms of left side temps versus right side temps, but there is something there. Now, Darlington's a pretty flat track, so it's not like it was on some super banked track like Daytona, right? And it's going up and down a hill. It's pretty flat, so this is still, I don't know what's causing this. I'm sure it has to do with the physics of the car, but overall, you can see that it does increase the temperatures, obviously more than a simple scrub. Okay, so super scrub on the next gen car definitely produces more heat. Now, what does it look like in terms of the surface temps when we look at it in telemetry? Well, as you can see here, our surface temps are definitely higher than our carcass temps in terms of the difference. You can see a 9 to 10 degree increase on the left sides. On the right sides, we're still only seeing about 2 to 3 degrees in some spots. So the left side tires definitely heating up a whole lot more than the right sides, whether it's surface temp or carcass. Now, we can see the difference when it comes to a super scrub versus nothing, but what about these methods against each other? Well, we know that the super scrub is going to produce more than a regular scrub. All right. We also have seen that it's going to produce more than dragging the brake. So here's the thing. If you want to heat up your tires, the best way to do it is with a super scrub. All right, what I call that. And that just means, it's just more than your basic side to side. Okay. And once again, keep in mind when you do it, if you do it too aggressively, you can actually damage the tires. So this is something that if you want to try doing, you actually want to go out and do a little bit of practice and see what it feels like. Because the last thing you want to do is be out there spinning out or slamming into the car next to you when you're just trying to heat up your tires. Alright, you guys, so that's going to do it all for this video. I really wanted to show you guys this because, like I said, it was really interesting, the data that I found. I had never known for sure whether dragging the brake or scrubbing the tires. I knew there was a slight change in it, but I had never tested it fully to this extent. And then the next gen tire was really shocking to see the temps actually decrease going from the pits onto the track. That was incredibly shocking. And like I said, I don't know if that was just a Darlington thing. I don't know if that's a one-off. I would need to go test that at other tracks, and so I'll do that eventually. That's not something I've got a ton of time for right now, going on just testing scrubbing tires at tracks. But just keep in mind, if you're wanting to heat up your tires and you're going to scrub them, you want to be a little bit more aggressive when you are scrubbing them. Just make sure you're not slamming into the car next to you, or brake checking the car behind you, or hitting a wall, or spinning it out, or anything like that. All right, you saw, in the video, in the samples of me, doing that, you can see that you're just a little bit more aggressive with it, but you don't want to be nuts, okay? Because you can actually damage the tires. All right, so if you want to do that, I would recommend doing some practice runs just to make sure you got it right before you go out there and do that in a race. And then also keep in mind, you're heating up the tires at the most, I think the highest increase we saw was 12, 15 degrees. So it's not like you're going from track temp to 200 degrees. All right, like it's you still going into turn one, you might want to take it still a little bit easy. You don't want to just dive bomb down in there and think like it's gonna stick because I did a super scrub, right? Like you still want to be a little bit careful on that first turn. Okay, so you guys, that's gonna do it all for this video. Now really quick, please do me a favor, if you like it, you know what to do. Hit that like, share, subscribe, all that other good stuff. Get this out there to people. Everything that I always ask you guys to please do, and every other YouTuber on earth asks to do, please, if you could do that for me, let me know, or please do it. And then let me know down in the comments below if you try this and it works for you, or you've tried it before and you didn't think it worked, like whatever. Just let me know down in the comments below. Also, don't forget, we are still doing our Butt Kicker Gamer 2 giveaway. If you want to enter for your chance to win that for free, click the link down in the description below. There's just a couple of ways to enter. I wanted to keep it super simple. I'm not trying to do this to get you to follow me everywhere and watch just check out the YouTube channel, check out the Facebook, I think it's like the Facebook page, like, or something like that. It's something super simple, and then that's it, and you're entered in. And at the end of the month, when the thing is over, I'll announce the winner, and then I'll ship it out to you, and you'll get everything that you need for the Butt Kicker Gamer 2, and you'll be good to go. You'll increase the immersion of your experience, because like I said, that thing does work pretty good. The only reason I don't use it is because it makes my entire house vibrate. So yeah, if you wanted your chance to win that, click the link down in the description below. Also down below, you'll see links for the SSR website, schoolofsimracing.net, where you can head over there, get access to the free membership, bunch of different stuff. I have a ton of stuff coming here in the next few weeks, where we've got a bunch of trainings, all kinds of stuff, and it's going to be, I'm setting it up to where it's detailed for you. So if you're looking for help with a wing sprint car, you're not going to get the video on how to drive the Xfinity. Like, it's going to be detailed specifically to you and your answers. Now it's going to take me a while to build out, especially with the launching of our gaming computer business that we've got coming as well. I'm building all that website and that business out right now. So we are doing gaming computers now, and that type of thing. So it's going to take me a while to get that built out, but we've got a lot of really cool stuff and really cool changes coming to, I shouldn't say changes, improvements coming to the Insider program, the free membership site, the website, the community, all of that stuff. So if you want to be a part of that, check any of that stuff out. There's links for everything down in the description below. And then even if you just want to come hang out and meet some other sim racers, links down in the description below for all that. So that's going to do it. Thank you very much, as always, for joining me. I really appreciate you coming by and checking out this video. And until next time, I want to wish you good luck, good racing. Take care.